You would never build a house and start with the second floor. You would start with a great solid foundation. The same is true for your business. I could provide the best strategies to the wealth management advisors, CPAs, attorneys, and other professionals that I coach, but if they don't have the right technology foundation in place, they simply won't succeed. So I set out on a quest to find the right partners that share in my foundation of education and technology. And the heavens parted, and I found Margarita Cheng, Sameer Somal, and Rajiv Sharma of Blue Ocean Global Technology. I am delighted to have Sameer Somal, Chief Financial Officer of Blue Ocean Global Technology, with me. He is going to share with you the importance of making the right technology decisions to increase efficiencies and profitability, and how easy it is to put that right technology foundation in place so that you're prepared for the 5 billion people that are joining the internet in the next 10 years. Sameer Somal is the Chief Financial Officer of Blue Ocean Global Technology. He recently completed an international speaking tour on the technology planning process, the power of social media, the mobile revolution, and the intangibles of success. His travels include partnership with TIE, the world's largest network of entrepreneurs, and an invitation to deliver the inaugural lecture to open Oak Brook Business School's new Innovation, Incubation, and Entrepreneurship Development Center in Ahmedabad, India. In January of 2016, Sameer was appointed to CFP Board of Standards Council on Education and recently appeared on Jill Schlesinger's nationally syndicated Jill on Money. CEO Margarita Cheng and Sameer frequently contribute to and publish in the New York Times, Kiplinger, Wall Street Journal, CFA Institute's Enterprising Investor, Washington Business Journal, CFP Board's blog, Investment News, Market Intelligence Center, Sava 360, Washingtonian, and Common Sense Leadership. Sameer, so great to have you.
Thank you, Laura. It's certainly an honor to be here and appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So tell me about your story and why your team decided to create Blue Ocean Global Technology.
We wanted to participate in and influence change. Margarita Cheng and I, Laura, spent 3 years planning for the launch of Blue Ocean Global Wealth. And we were so fortunate to have a network of friends and colleagues that had built successful businesses or launched companies, and many of them still struggled with reliable, transparent technology and marketing help. In fact, Rita made the joke that it takes longer to receive technology help and partnership and launch a stunning website than it did to bring one of her children onto this earth, and I mean 9 months. And we didn't want technology to hold us back. Adam Smith, the one thing that changes everything that he wrote about in The Wealth of Nations, we realized that technology needed to be an asset. And so we sought the guidance of retired Air Commodore Jaspal Alec, who spent 35 years in the Indian Air Force. And among his mandate of responsibility, he actually implemented software that tracked every part on every plane in every factory and every warehouse for the entire country of India. So he brought a strong technical framework to the table, and diligence, the mother of good luck. We sought and interviewed hundreds of companies and entrepreneurs looking for principally driven leaders and people, as we know those have longevity in business. And we became clients, we referred clients, and ultimately we decided on several partners. And when we were getting to the point of launching Blue Ocean Global Wealth, we realized, look at the way that we spend time today with our friends, with our family, how we interact. It's changed so much over the last 2 decades. And technology needs to be an asset in our business and our clients' businesses. And we realized there was a real opportunity to share those resources. And so we launched Blue Ocean Global Technology to help our clients align their mission, vision, and values with their technology investment, especially when thinking about your marketing, your sales, and your technology resource allocations.
Congrats are in order. Recently, you've been named to CFP's Board Council on Education. Clearly, you're an educator. Can you share with the audience what that means and with respect to Blue Ocean Global Technology?
Our Blue Ocean strategy is education. The inspiration behind the forming of Blue Ocean Global Technology in our name was the book Blue Ocean Strategy by the 2 professors at Instead School in France that described, Lauren put a framework around how companies usually compete in a red ocean. So what do you mean by red ocean? Red ocean is your Coke, I'm Pepsi. We're competing for that same distribution client. We're going to cut each other, injure each other, anything to get that client. Blood, shark-infested waters, that's a red ocean. Blue ocean companies, in contrast, are innovative. They're collaborative. They don't benchmark themselves to a particular competitor, so they don't measure success as an industry company might typically do so. An example of a blue ocean company would be Cirque du Soleil. They combine elements of theater, elements of circus, and they created a hybrid performance that was a new market. Another would be Yellowtail Wines. How did a foreign, cheaper wine gain so much market share so quickly? And so the foundation of our organization is education. We educate consistently through our financial planning process, and how we go about providing value and identifying with clients, prospective clients, and business communities at large is by educating.
Awesome. So it sounds to me like the executive team are educators at heart. Can you share with me some more information about that?
Absolutely. Key members of our executive team, Laura, have spent much of their careers educating at conferences and via private briefing to help leaders and companies make the most informed decisions. I would say education is at the foundation of how we foster trust, how we collaborate, and how ultimately we provide guidance to businesses across industries. Education is consistent through our technology planning process, and we are passionate about educating entrepreneurs, executives, and stakeholders globally in terms of those most efficient resource allocations.
Can you share your thoughts on the digital revolution and the challenges that companies face as we move forward?
Every day, people are empowered with unfiltered information and global communication access from a device that simply fits in the palm of our hands. And it took the internet 12 years, Laura, to gather its first billion users, a third of the time to gather the next billion. And the way that people are now joining the internet isn't they're going from dial-up to DSL and desktop to tablet to mobile. They're joining right on their cell phones and their mobile devices. And so the way that companies need to be thoughtful about engaging and positioning themselves is changing. And it's changing so quickly that it requires collaboration, it requires education. And if you look at what Eric Schmidt talked about in the digital revolution, where he said that from the beginning of time up until 2010, and is a couple years old, in 2 days, all of that information that's been created since the beginning of time is recreated.
That's so fascinating. And the beautiful thing is that you don't just build websites and apps for companies, you actually become an extension of their team. Is that correct?
I think the most appropriate word we often use is partnership. And technology is changing the way businesses are able to compete and able to grow. If we just look at Kodak, for instance, and Blockbuster, and how technology affected those businesses. In fact, the average life of an S&P 500 company has rapidly shrunk from 67 years in the 1920s to about 15 years today. And so businesses need to be thoughtful, and I think it was Peter Diamandis in his book Bold cited that today an entrepreneur can go from, hey, I've got a great idea, to I run a billion-dollar company faster than ever before. And while that's great and positive and that's opportunity, on the other side, in terms of managing risk and ensuring that you protect the business and the credibility and the trust that you've already created up to this point, you need to be very thoughtful about planning for how you're going to engage your future customers and existing clients.
And that's exactly right. Clearly, companies need to plan for their technology investment from the small all the way through the enterprise. Can you provide our audience some perspective on that?
Technology has really changed, Laura. 15 years ago, if you simply had a website, you had technology. And of course, there's different components to that in terms of your web presence as well as infrastructure and systems. But today, technology impacts marketing in terms of your branding, your communication, how you're being identified on social media. It certainly intersects and supports sales, how your company is able to engage new prospective customers and have them become clients. And so when you think about planning for those resource allocations, breaking down walls and bridging communication amongst the key stakeholders and executives within a company, that's really where the technology planning process can add value, because we're able to look at the competing people, variables, factors, resource constraints, and we're able to come up with a plan that addresses immediate needs, provides the most value, and is able to, I would say, maybe have phased implementation. And where I think organizations benefit is we oftentimes have worked with clients that in the past, they had a web developer, he started out of his garage, now he has 20 people working for him. And where there's an opportunity potentially for improvement is when you have a company that has teams of business analysts, of SEO folks, of digital marketing professionals, of engineers, of software developers, of social media associates. You're able to bring the diverse perspectives and intelligence of many different people in order to come and have some real clarity on implementing the strategic plan. And I think that that's really where the technology planning process can benefit an organization, is when then you're able to create assets and build upon them rather than it being a little bit transactional. And for instance, there was a company that we just recently worked with, and they hadn't really spent anything on technology for 5 years, and all of a sudden they wanted to get caught up. And it's so hard to all of a sudden do that. It needs to be an ongoing dialogue and an ongoing evaluation if you want your business to thrive.
That's exactly right. So thank goodness Blue Ocean Global Technology is out there partnering with companies all the way up to the enterprise clients to be an extension of their team and truly partner to bring them up to speed and to continue with them.
Well, I think we're passionate about building trust with organizations where we can provide the most value. And I think that when you're able to truly become part of your clients' companies and become an extension of that, I think you're able to ultimately make a difference. And we view our clients as our companies because we're part of their businesses and we share in their growth. And it's a win-win.
So there's a lot of buzz lately about ORM, or online reputation management. Mm-hmm. Can you explain why that's so important today?
Sure. Well, everyone Googles everything. I used to use the Yellow Pages. I no longer do. Do you use the Yellow Pages?
What are the Yellow Pages?
Online reputation management. Well, as the saying goes, you are what you are online. And your reputation online has become increasingly important for any business. I've been at networking events and people pull out their phones and actually Google the people they've just met to learn about them and see what they can find. Your online reputation management, Laura, isn't just simply what's found when you're Googled. It's a function of your web presence, whether it's mobile adaptable or not. It's a function of all your social media channels. Articles, videos that have been put out there about you form your entire reputation. And I think 10 years ago, it was okay to simply just have a website and your online reputation didn't matter. Well, today, it does matter. And I've heard clients, I remember one current client said, well, Sameer, I don't receive any clients online. I don't get my business from online. I get all my business through word of mouth, through referrals. Well, today, when somebody learns or is referred to LauraVirili, are they going to call up Laura and ask her about herself? Or are they going to go online and read about you? And so the way that we approach managing our online reputation has become critical to the longevity of businesses. In fact, it's well known throughout many technology books, and leaders have said that 20 years from now, we will have an entire class and profession of people like financial advisors, like CPAs, that simply manage your online reputation management. So ORM is certainly a subject that we need to be thoughtful of, and ORM has the opportunity to define your business and define your opportunity set.
Sameer, we've served enterprise clients together. Can you comment on enterprise and what that means to Blue Ocean Global Technology?
Laura, when I hear the word enterprise, you almost think of Star Trek, Star Wars. Enterprise, Blue Ocean Global Technology uses to describe our approach in working with our clients. Enterprise for us means flexibility. A client is going to have unique needs based upon their business life cycle, their immediate priorities, their strategic objectives, their resource allocations. When you approach an enterprise client, you want to account for all these factors. You want to come up with a plan that is going to provide clarity and I would say integration amongst different departments and amongst different people. And we serve enterprise clients by first applying our technology planning process. And when I say flexibility, that may mean that we serve a parent company, a law firm, a financial services institution. We put together a branding, technology, and marketing plan for the company, but we also have a unique or custom model that we're able to offer each of the attorneys or doctors or financial advisors so that they're able to market their own branding and reputation as well. And so in summary, enterprise is simply an approach to working with clients that's flexible, that allows them collaborative discussion and dialogue so that ultimately we can reach the very best decisions collectively for our team.
Sameer, can you share with the audience why it is so very important that firms are optimized for mobile devices?
Well, the mobile revolution, Laura, is here. There's 6.8 billion people on this earth. There's 5.1 billion of those have a mobile phone, and only 4.2 billion have a toothbrush.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And when you think about how much cell phones have become part of us, it's interesting to note that it takes 26 hours for someone to report a lost wallet, but only 68 minutes for them to report a lost cell phone. In fact, I think it's 91% of Americans have their cell phone within reach of themselves 24/7. And I remember when I was presenting recently on the digital revolution, I mentioned that. You could see everyone in the audience jumped into their pockets and wondering where their phones are. And so it's imperative that we're thoughtful about what mobile is. And similarly to every industry, there's a wide dispersion of competence. I think that's a diplomatic way of saying that there are people that have different skill sets. And I've oftentimes heard from prospective clients or friends that have said, oh, Sameer, my website is optimized for mobile. I can view it on a smartphone. And I want to make the distinction that when you view a website on a phone, if you've got to squint in and you've got to click around and you can't read it and there isn't an optimized mobile menu, that's very different from having a flexible or responsive web presence.
Great points. Can you share an actual example?
Sure. Let's say a business has a positive announcement. They've perhaps acquired a new company, they've taken on a new successful client, and people read about that. And they're excited about the business, they're excited about learning about that. And they go online, they go on their smartphones, and they want to learn more about the company, who the leaders are, maybe what their story is, what their values are. And when they get to their smartphone, they can't read any information. Well, the opportunity then has been lost to engage and to build your online brand equity. And so that's where mobile becomes so critical for being able to share and communicate and store your message.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that.
And I think it's interesting to note when you think about how much mobile has become fundamental to the way that we live. It takes 90 minutes for one to respond to an email, but only 90 seconds to respond to a text message. And I think that organizations on the whole face challenges to design and implement mobile systems that are effective and that are aligning with their business strategy. And if you think about the fact that 70% of all mobile searches result in action within 1 hour, we know that businesses need to continue to adapt and address this immediately. And that's what we're passionate about, educating on the mobile revolution.
Absolutely, I can tell.
Thank you.
Sameer, with all that we've talked about, can you share an example where Blue Ocean Global Technology has made an immediate impact?
Sure. One CEO approached us, Laura, about 6 months ago, and he was a little bit confused. See, they'd been publishing content on their blog twice a month for about 4 years. And when you searched exact lines from some of their blog articles, when you tried to find any of their information, it's like it didn't exist. And this brought up the notion of, similar to a human being, there's what we see on the outside, there's an inside. The same is true for your technology and your web presence. And what we found in lifting up the proverbial hood was that the website wasn't programmed for on-page, off-site optimization. And despite looking like a beautiful website, the content was actually not going out to their clients and to prospective clients in the marketplace. And so we were able to quickly go in there and solve some of those technical challenges and implement. Another example that might be helpful is social media. Social media is certainly a buzzword, one of the programs we educate on the power of social media and how you're able to use those channels effectively. But similarly to having a great social media presence, it's almost better not to have one than to have a Facebook page where you haven't posted for 6 months, or a Twitter account where you rarely log on. And so being able to come up with a social media calendar that coordinates all of an organization's departments, the press, and all the positives that are coming from the executives and the teams that are serving clients, you need a system to evaluate all that information and be able to share it in a clear and concise, consistent way. And time again, we're approached by companies that have wonderful content, great news, but nobody knows about them. Nobody knows about them online. And that's really where we put some emphasis. And lastly, a simple example would be, we had a client that had a large marketing budget towards U.S. mail. They would send out a lot of brochures, a lot of coupons, which were somewhat effective. But in going through the technology planning process, we simply asked them and said, is there a place where you have a digital brochure that explains kind of what you're sending out there, so that your salespeople are empowered with one clear message that comes from the company down, and that's maybe in their email signatures so different clients and prospects can click on it. And that cost relative to mailing out several 100,000 mailers a month was one that made a lot of sense. So those are a few examples that I hope provide you a little bit of context.
Oh, they provided me with great context. I know they provided our audience with great context. Can't thank you enough for spending your time and sharing all of your great knowledge. You're clearly an educator, and we're so happy to have you here. So to learn how you can make the most informed technology decisions, visit blueoceanglobaltech.com, and all the links are provided below.
Triple S moved his chair.
A little too good at that. New York? Almost not in New York.
New York.
Deep Jersey.
Sameer.
We're good, Tony?
We're good. He starts laughing at me because he's always laughing at me.
We were good.
Great points. Can you share an actual example?
Absolutely. Ching. Nice to meet you, Dean. Clearly you have a handful here with your mother.